Welcome into another edition of the Movie Geek Podcast. I'm your host, George T., and this is my review of Mickey 17. And it is such a crazy movie. Uh, so sit back and relax. Um, George and I went to see it. It happened to be the number one movie over the weekend. It made 19.1 million, so it was kind of a slow weekend for movies. Captain America fell to number two at 9.5. Last Breath, 4.2. So each of these fell one spot. The Monkey at 3.5, and Paddington in Peru made 2.8 million. Um, a movie that did open this past weekend, that didn't do really well was In the Lost Lands, $1 million. This was a movie that should have had a little bit more run, but I think it had limited screens. It's a Paul W. Anderson movie that has Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista, and very much like Resident Evil type movie. Um, which, by the way, I do have um, an episode coming up about video games that have become movies, or movies based on video games. And the reason why is because Minecraft and Until Dawn is coming out in April, and one is going to be really good, and the other one is absolutely going to suck. And this weekend at the box office, we will talk about Black Bag, which I do want to see. That was in my anticipated list. Novocaine, which my son George actually wants to see. It's about a guy who can't feel any pain. Um, it's kind of a weird, crazy story. Opus comes out, and another movie my son was very, um, I don't know, he surprised me on this one. It is the Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. Would never have guessed he would have wanted to see that at 16. I mean, we grew up showing him Looney Tunes, but you know, kind of a stumper on there. And then in smaller theaters or limited release, The Actor, Borderline, which is a home invasion thriller, um, and then The World Will Tremble. Now this looks pretty interesting. It is about five Holocaust um, survivors who escaped one of the uh, concentration camps. Um, so yeah, I mean, basically that's it's a good lineup, and there's a lot of good movies coming out, and I think that Mickey 17 probably will not be number one next week. I would think if anything would be Black Bag. That would be my guess, but who knows? You never know. Looney Tunes may, because a lot of people are bringing kids back to the movies. I mean, Paddington has had a pretty strong run, um, so you never know. But that is for another episode. This is about Mickey 17. Um, for any of you who have seen the trailers or seen the bits, this is a wild kind of sci-fi, but it's a dark comedy, uh, written and produced by Boon John Hu, who's done many good films. George had uh, surprisingly asked me to go and see this movie. I wasn't sure that he was going to really like this movie. Um, I wasn't too keen on seeing it, but seeing it, it was crazy. Made you really think about things. It was based on a book called Mickey Seven. So the premise of the film is um, we have pretty much killed off the Earth, and I mean, lo and behold, you know what we're doing now. Um, our resources are starting to fail. You know, it's survival of the fittest at this point. And so um, religious groups are trying to take members to other distant planets to see if they can inhabit them. One particular one here um, has Mickey on it. So, how this movie starts is Mickey is pretty much left for dead, and his best friend comes down and says, "Oh, you're not dead yet. Um, how many times have you died?" And he's like, "This is 17. I'm 17." Um, he's like, "Well, I'll die eventually, and you'll have another best friend to kick around." And you're like, "Huh, this is how this is going to start." So the creatures that are on this planet, we think are going to go and eat him, which would pump out another one. So we get Mickey's backstory. Mickey is a down and out guy who just wants to be killed. Basically, like he owes money. Um, he's had a run of it, and just like a lot of people, just want to get off the planet. And so he goes and signs up to be on a flight off the planet. Uh, he doesn't realize that basically most of the people on there are um, or re- religious zealots who follow a politician, a religious politician played by Mark Ruffalo. His name is Kenneth Marshall, and his wife Toni Collette, Nia, Mia, sorry. Um, these two are absolutely crazy together on screen. Um, they are ruthless, but also Kenneth is very clueless, and Mia is the one who basically is running everything, which is um, which is okay. But at the same time, why is she not more powerful than he is? Why is she not running for um, the you know, presidency of the Earth? Um, because at this point, like I said, the world is pretty much like a wasteland now, and so on. So Mickey realizes he's not going to make it on the planet, but he walks over to a booth where they um, they have him, um, sign up to be um, an experimental, and the he fills out the paperwork, and he's like, "Oh, did you read through this?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, I read through it." Um, his and the reason why they kept saying it is because cloning on Earth was banned, but this religious zealot Kenneth thought repopulating the world with um, clones was the way to go. Okay, so now we have religion, politics, cloning, and basically, the worst conditions for the Earth. And now we're going to send a group out into the vast regions of space to repopulate the human race. So again, it's kind of a weird premise. It's kind of a weird thing. So Mickey, again, really is not. He's not the brightest guy in the world. Again, he's down on his luck. He's like, sure, we'll do that, even though he has no idea what he's talking about. So he runs into, well, the doctor comes out, Kai, played by Anne Marie Ventimiglia. Again, you know me, I mess up people's names all the time. It is what it is. But Kai explains the entire process to him. So he is going to be put through a test of wills, and this cloning machine is going to replicate him every time he dies. So while on this journey, they put him through the worst possible conditions and then send his body down uh, into a pit, a fire pit, and he regenerates or comes out as a clone. But his memories continue to build up, so they keep track of his memories, and they just download it into the next one, and it just keeps going and going and going. So they put him through one test, or they give him a virus, and they just watch him constantly dying and celebrate it like it's a good thing, because then they can do something else with him or experiment. There's a few scenes where he's looking like a copy machine, paper that gets stuck, and he's kind of coming out. And instead of having um, the place to put him on, it's over in the corner, and he winds up like falling on his head and just falling on the floor naked. Um, so, and Mickey is played by Robert Patterson. So uh, he does a really good job with this picture. Um, I can tell you right now, Toni Collette is an amazing actress. Her character is so ruthless. It is really good. But I had a problem with Mark Ruffalo's uh, portrayal of Kenneth. I don't think it fits. I don't think it fits him. I really had a hard time watching him with like fake lips or trying to make it, so. But at times also looking like a complete wimp and having to cower behind uh, Maya, who then turns around and tells him, "Hey, you got to be stronger. You got to do this. You got to do that." And then he comes back and does it. So, um, you know, on the flight, on the way out there, he tells the people on there that they are, part of a new, a new Earth. We're going to repopulate the Earth. So, we're going to have the biggest sex orgy, and we're going to experiment with all kinds of sex. And we're going to reproduce things, and we are going to clone people, and we're going to do everything. We're going to be the best civilization ever. So Mickey is befriended by Nasha, played by Naomi Aki, and they are constantly having sex like all the time, even though it's banned on the ship, but they get away with it. So Mickey 17 is sent out for a job with his best friend, played by Stephen Yen. Um, his name is Timo. So uh, he falls through the ice, and Timo comes down. He's like, "Oh, you're not dead yet." So then these creatures come out, and you think they're gonna. This is where Mickey 17 survives. What they did was they protected him uh, from, you know, dying, which he didn't know at the time. He thought he was going to get eaten and so on. He was like, "Oh man, just get it over with. The next one's getting printed out or whatever." So they do wind up thinking he's dead. So Mickey 18 is created. Mickey 17 makes it back to the home base, and he realizes that nobody, or they think that, as he runs into people, that he's 18. And he winds up going back to his room where Nasha is, and lo and behold, 18 is in there with her. So now the two of them are in the same room. And it's not good to have, or it was illegal to have two clones at the same time. So now they're trying to figure out how one of them is going to die, or they both are going to die, and they're just going to create another one. So they try to figure out how they can coexist because Nasha wants both of them. She's gonna have, she's gonna have her fun, and why not two Mickeys? So again, it's kind of just a crazy, crazy movie. So eventually, Timo and Mickey run into each other, and Mickey 17 is watching the interaction with Mickey 18. Now, Mickey 18 is completely different than some of the other variants of Mickey. He's more angry. He definitely wants to hurt people, and he doesn't want to die. And as we saw Mickey 16 and 17 say that he was afraid of dying, even though he knows he's going to get downloaded into somebody else. 16 and 17 started to have a feeling of death, and they didn't want that because they had felt it through all of the stuff the others had gone through. So 18 became very angry. He tried to kill Timo, but Mickey 17 stopped him, and was able to uh, free Timo from a death that was pretty horrible. He was just going to get thrown into the fire pit that they kept throwing Mickeys in. So now eventually they're discovered and thrown in jail. Timo now comes up with an idea to have one of them die, so that Timo can actually live. Timo and um, one of the Mickeys or the original Mickey, were um, running from uh, a mob boss that they had taken out a loan from and couldn't pay it back, and he was going to kill them. So he got a letter that said, I sent one of my guys, and he's watching you guys right now. So one of you has to die, and here's the instructions on how to win your freedom. And eventually the Mickeys come up with a great plan to stop Timo from doing it, but then Mickey 18 almost goes and kills Timo, but he's stopped by the police, the administrative police, and is brought in front of Kenneth. Uh, Kenneth then starts monologuing. He wants to destroy all the creatures on the planet. Mickey's like, no, you can't do that. They saved me. They were very helpful. Maybe we can coexist. One of the scientists on the on the base came up with a translator. So now we have shifted from, um, as I said to George, a movie that was kind of like this video game called Dead Space, where you had a religious zealot going out and planet cracking a planet of unknown origin, to a Starship Troopers, basically. If you remember Starship Troopers had a brain bug, basically, who was running the show. He couldn't speak, but he spoke through people when he tried to kill them, or he sucked out their brains so he could get, um, you know, very good intel on trying to kill the humans who were trying to kill them. So, uh, so now we have the main alien. So Mickey says, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. Maybe we can talk to them. Maybe we can broker them." And they're like, "No, we're gonna kill them." And then the wife Mia says, "No, one of you is going to fight for your freedom." Because they had taken one of the younglings of the creatures, and the creatures wanted him back. and they were going to kill him. And luckily, Nasha was able to save the little one from a certain death, but almost gets killed in the same process. So both Mickey 18 and 17 are strapped to bombs, and they basically had to do a task of cutting off 100-piece tails, and if they didn't, they would blow up. And it's kind of cruel, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so all over the place, crazy. So Mickey 17 and 18 go out, and 17 says to 18, "Look, we can't do this. Let me go and talk to the main one and see." But they also know they're strapped to bombs, so they know that at any point they can push the button. Also, you got to remember, if they got too close to the bigger one, they could just blow them all up, and that's what they want to do. So Mickey goes out and talks to the main one, and basically they just want the little one back, and then we'll go away and leave the humans alone. Kenneth doesn't want to, and Mia definitely doesn't want to. She's like, "No, we're gonna kill the thing," and Kenneth's like, "I want to start a war." Everybody's like, "No, this is a bad idea." So all of this is being documented all at the same time, where Kenneth uh, is told by his publicist, "You know what, this would be a great idea to go out. Let's have a epic kind of confrontation. You talking to the alien, and eventually then we just drop bombs on them and we wipe them all out. And it'll be your finest moment." So he's like, "All right, let's go and do this. Like, can I do this? Blah, blah, blah." And Mia's like, "Just shut up and do it." Again, she had all the balls. And I kept having the problem of watching Mark Ruffalo trying to get through this role. I think anybody else probably I wouldn't have minded, but Mark Ruffalo trying to play Kenneth, it just didn't work for me. But Toni Collette was amazing as Mia. So um, eventually, Kenneth goes out there, and all of a sudden, things start changing. The aliens become smart, or the creatures become smart, and they start to um, form massive waves of their own, like kind of a body shield, so that they can't shoot the leader. Mickey has already run away from the leader, so he's kind of away from them. Um, Nasha frees the little guy and goes running out there to find Mickey and the leader so that they could all go away. So eventually they do, and Mickey 18 decides to go after Kenneth, and he does, and sacrifices himself. Mia is distraught and angry, uh, but is quickly arrested by um, the Alliance forces, and she winds up slitting her wrist and killing herself. Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, Mickey 17 and Nasha become leaders of the planet, uh, along with the creatures on the planet. So it ends well. And again, it's just such a crazy movie. If you're big into sci-fi and where religion and politics kind of cross over into that, and then it's a movie for you. I would rate this a, an even, which would be 3 in the scale of 1 to 5. The reason why is because it's watchable. Although I cannot stand Mark Ruffalo in that role. Like, I think You could insert somebody else in there, and it probably wouldn't have bothered me. But I've seen Mark Ruffalo in so many other films, not just the Marvel ones, but I've seen him in other roles, and I know that it looked like a struggle for him. It just felt awkward for him. It's kind of like Michelle Williams in the Sony Venom movie, where she just looked so out of place, and I'm like, man, Michelle Williams is such a great actress. Why would she feel comfortable in this role? She didn't look comfortable throughout it. So again, some people take characters and think that they can really make them, but I would think that Mark Ruffalo will get a Razzie nomination for his performance in this movie. But hey, you know what? I could be wrong. I mean, I thought Jennifer Lopez, and I did mention that when I did the review of Atlas, that she would probably win the Razzie for Worst Actress. She didn't, but she was nominated, so I guess that's a good thing. So I would call it even. It's watchable. It's fun at times. It's kind of just crazy silly at other times. And the story is, just kind of over the top. If you were Mickey, and after signing away your life, would it be worth it for you to escape your life by dying over and over and over again just so you can live? Your call. I want to know what you guys think of that. And again, what do you think of cloning? Cloning is such a weird concept to think about. Like, I can't even imagine having a clone of myself. Like, it's just crazy to me that you would do that. But I could understand it too if it was done right. And again, we've had so many movies about cloning and genetic tampering and all that. Gattaca was one of the first films that really touched on that in more detail than just your basic, oh, here's a clone, or Invasion of the Body Snatcher kind of thing. So what do you think? Would you be, if you were that down on your luck, or that that part of you that, like, oh my god, I can't do this anymore, would you want to volunteer to be this experiment and die every time and get reincarnated every time in a clone body? So, all right. So that is that end. Look for my other review coming up of Queen of the Ring, which was a very amazing movie. Look for that. I've also got, like I said at the beginning, the other one about the video games becoming movies, and also South by Southwest had their festival. I will be giving you a list of the movies and TV shows that came out of there that might be of interest. So look for that as well. And I will see you guys at the movies.
You like that, baby? Let him know where I came from, yeah!
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That